for your attendance. Earlier we had an executive session, and there are no items that need to be voted on following executive session. First item, to approve various boards and commissions. First, being Accommodation Tax Advisory Committee, we have a bio and a Derek Norris. Anyone want to make a motion on Derek Norris?
I'd like to waive the rules and nominate and elect Derek Norris.
Have a motion. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, vote affirmative, and it passes. Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission, we have a spot that is open. No district here related to Debbie. No. Appalachian Council of Government, we have Chet Morris Jr. and we have a bio Thomas R. Foster.
I've been asked to maybe hold this over until next month.
Okay. Board of Assessment Appeals. We have this School District 3 representative that has resigned. So we need to fill that. And it needs to be financing of real estate. And it has to be in the financing of real estate. Building Code Board of Appeals. It's Paul's in his bio in?
Yes,
no? Okay. All right. We have Downtown Airport Advisory. Dean Garrison has received employment.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to waive the rules and ask unanimous consent to reappoint Dean Garrison.
Okay, have a motion. Mr. Garrison.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, I vote affirmative. And it passes. Employee grievance. We have Julie Thomas from the assessor's office that resigned. Need to fill that position. And Hobbiesville.
Still no word from Hobbiesville on the appointment or replacing this person.
And then female communication. We need to fill a spot there as well. So that completes boards and appointments. Got to do one thing. I would like to take just a moment. He cannot be here later in the day, so he came early. And Henry Giles, if you would please stand up, sir.
Yes.
Henry recently had a son's fiance was graduating from USC upstate, and I was in the audience, and I think they graduated 830 people here last May, but on the stage was an individual, and he is an honorary doctorate now at the University of South Carolina. Mr. Henry Giles was awarded honorary doctorate from the University of South Carolina. Henry. We've enjoyed working with you through the years, and we appreciate everything, the role that the community college plays in our community, and especially with educating our citizens and also in economic development. And we think this is a great honor for a great person, and we appreciate your leadership at Spartanburg Community College, and thank you for all you do, and just congratulate you, Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Henry's got to go to a budget meeting, so I wanted to recognize him at 5:30, but we got him in a little early, so anyway, congratulations.
Since I'm standing, do I have an opportunity?
You do.
First of all, thank you for the honor and recognition. I am truly humbled by what's happened to me recently. With the recognition of something I don't think I deserve. I thought about I really should take that little piece of paper and divide it up in shreds and give it to people in this organization, because I look at SC Works as part of why I get recognized, I think, for the things that are going on. I look at Carter Smith and Economic Futures Group and what they do in our partnership with them. I look at y'all and think I need to be giving all of y'all parts of that, because that's really why I feel like I've been recognized. is because this community is a great community. People work together to try to improve the lives of everybody. And that's what I've enjoyed doing, and I think that's why I'm getting recognized right now. And I'll tell you the other thing, I'm not leaving. I was at an event yesterday at Walford, because you didn't mention it, and if you don't mind, I received an honorary doctorate degree yesterday at Walford County.
I didn't know that.
Wow, 2 doctorate degrees.
Well, but the scary part about it, knowing that I was coming here, I thought, do all these people know something that I don't know? Is there something about to happen to me that I don't know? And all of a sudden, Mr. Johnson's put on the executive session for our commission meeting today, an executive session for personnel issues. I'm thinking, are y'all about ready just to push me out through the Golden Gate? But truthfully, it's been a wonderful experience for me, and I can only take the gratitude on the basis and the recognition on the basis that our college wants to be an integral part of this community, and you are allowing us to do that. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We had Henry here, and we're going to recognize him later on, but he does have a budget meeting today, so I wanted to take time to recognize him. Item 4, are we carrying that over tonight? Catherine?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the ordinance be postponed indefinitely.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, I vote affirmative, and it passes. Next, we have item 5, receive information and take desired action in reference to the 2016 presidential preference primaries. Mr. Henry Lake here to present. How you doing, Mr. Lake?
Hi, Mr. Chairman. How are you today? Council members, good evening. And David's going to fire me up here. We have been working for several months focused on the 2016 presidential election cycle. And while we still have some elections to get through in June, we have a June 2nd election for the city of Welford, a June 9th for Duncan, and then we get into school trustees in November. Our focus is really turned to the 2016 presidential cycle. And what I'd like to do is just brief you on this, on what we're planning to do. The authority to hold the South Carolina presidential preference primaries, which is part of some of the first in the nation, was set aside in the South Carolina Code of Law with the references you see there. It basically states that the state committee of the party shall set the date and the hours that the polls will be open. Now, each of you do have a hard copy of this presentation, should you care to look at it later. The anticipated dates are 2 consecutive Saturdays in February. Currently, it's the Republican primary is set to Saturday, February the 20th. The Democratic presidential preference primary for Saturday, February the 27th. That will not take place if Mrs. Clinton is unopposed. Now, to conduct that presidential preference primary, the South Carolina Code of Laws allows the State Election Commission and the authorities responsible for conducting the election to provide for cost-effective measures in conducting these presidential preference primaries, including but not limited to combining polling places while ensuring that the voters have adequate notice and access to the polling locations. Just to show you some of the history and how crowded these presidential preference primaries were, in 2008 we had 8 Democratic candidates and 11 Republican candidates. In 2012, since President Obama was unopposed on the Democratic primary, that was not held, and again we had 8 or 9 Republican candidates in the 2012 presidential preference primary. Here's what our county participation looked like in these presidential preference primaries from our records. The total turnout for both parties in our county was about 53,000 voters, so about 33% of the registered voters. The Democratic turnout was about 15%, and the Republican turnout was about 18%, compared to the state turnout of 23% for the Democrats and 19.5% for the Republican Party. In 2012, there were about 25% of the Republican registered voters that turned out to vote against a 21% statewide turnout for that. Basically disappointing turnouts for determining the leadership of our nation. There are reasons to combine the precincts. And without going into some of the challenges that gives our voter registration board staff, we'll just simply tell you that we're going to get it done. And the criteria we used to combine some of these precincts were the voter history and the proximity to another voting location. There will be 56 standalone precincts. In other words, those precincts are not being combined with any other, and that would include the in-person absentee precinct. Generally takes place in conference room 6 downstairs. There will be 39 combined precincts for those elections. This is a list of the standalone precincts. To give you a moment to just look at them. Some of them were done based on very nice voter turnout. Some of them are standing alone because of distance that voters would have to travel if we combined them. For example, Ennery and Cross Anchor. You wouldn't want to combine those because it's a fairly significant different mileage to do. But those would be the 55 standalone precincts. The combined precincts, the list on the left is a precinct that would be voting at the precinct on the right. For example, Arcadia Elementary would be voting at the J.C. Bobo Elementary precinct, and so forth and so on down the line. Now, how did we come to this? I will tell you that we will be making sure that we get the proper notice to the voters. We've made this presentation to the county legislative delegation. We're making it now to you. We'll be certainly to make sure the media is aware of it. We're prepared to make presentations to both political parties in the county and any other group that wants to hear this presentation, such as the League of Women Voters, NAACP, any other group, whether it's a church group, civic group. We'll certainly be prepared to make that presentation. We'll be placing signage at all locations that will be voting elsewhere. We'll be putting this information on the county website. But in spite of all the efforts to educate the public on where to vote, we're still probably going to have some folks who won't be happy with the combinations. But we'll try to enlist them into helping us with the voting process, and maybe they'll understand the challenges involved. This is primarily the presentation itself. I'm going to go and change to the Excel spreadsheets to show you some of the data on it. Debbie, you said I had here Excel. These are the standalone precincts, and for example, if you'll notice, let me, got too many things up here, let me reduce this just a little bit. I know it's small, and I'm going to move it a little bit more. In 2008, for example, if you look at the second item, Friendship Baptist Church, you will see that out of the 3,100 voters, in the 2008 presidential preference primary, we had 113 Democratic voters show up, 576 Republican voters. Then kick over to the 2012 presidential preference primary, there were 802 Republican voters. So this is the listing of how we decided which precinct to let stand alone. And we could scroll all the way down to that list, the bottom of that list if we needed to, but you certainly have that. Now, here are the ones that will be combined. For example, if you look here at Arcadia Elementary, and folks, I know it's little tiny letters for you, but Arcadia Elementary, out of about 900 registered voters active, in 2008 they had 95 people show up to vote Democratic and 84 show up to vote Republican. And then in 2012, you had 104 Republican voters show up. So then they'll combine in with the Woodruff Leisure Center and see that. So that's some of the criteria that we did for that, to do that. So we went all the way through this to determine what seemed to make sense, both in proximity and voter turnout. So this is why we're going to be combining some of these precincts. Primarily, we have basically 7 days to turn around the voting machines, and it's primarily one voting machine at each of the precincts that has to be reset. And that's the one that is used for the visually impaired voters. We only have one of those per precinct. So we have to get out, recalibrate, make sure we've got the right data card in it, and then the other machines are already there. So that's really what we're planning to do. We've had a very much involvement from our Board of Voter Registration Elections. The staff that I have has been absolutely wonderful to do that, and we're going to make every effort to make this thing go off smoothly, and that we will continue to serve the voters in our county. That concludes the presentation that I have. I'll certainly take any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Mr. Lake? Mr. Lake?
Yes, sir.
Does the state reimburse us for this project?
The state will reimburse us for the poll managers, cost of the ballots. That's pretty much it, Mr. Chairman. We get left out on some of the other expenses, mileage, overtime, and so forth and so on. So a lot of our elections are not fully funded, but that's the reality of the situation, just like our county's not fully funded with the monies they're supposed to turn to us anyhow.
Any other questions, Mr. Lake? All right,
Thank you, sir.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next, we will go to our committee meetings. First committee is Economic Recruitment and Development. Honorable David Britt, Chairman, Malcolm Brown, Roger Nutt, members. Mr. Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have several items before us today. And before we get started on this, I did want to recognize Brian Nash and Carter Smith, the Economic Future Group. We had a great celebration Friday a week ago with Elko, and it's one of the nicest groundbreakings I've ever attended. And the first time I've ever worn white gloves. So, it was fun. But anyhow, thank you for the good work that you do, as well as this council. I mean, this council deserves a lot of credit, as Henry mentioned earlier, Henry Giles and Carter and Brian have both said it. We have a great partnership between our administration, led by Catherine, and our chairman and the council. We wouldn't be having these successes without the citizens to support us. So a big thanks to all y'all. We have 6 items, I think, before us today. First is a request for first reading to an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee agreement between Spartanburg County and Rite Aid of Georgia, Inc. and Flatwood Farms 1 LLC for the application of an infrastructure credit to fee in lieu of tax payments. Do I hear a motion to be approved on first reading?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Will recommend it to full council at 5:30. Second item is a request for the adoption of a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of an inducement agreement by and between Spartanburg County and Lorraine, Inc. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Will recommend it to full council again at 5:30. Next item also relates to Lorraine. Do I hear a motion that we approve on first reading of the ordinance? Motion is made and second. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Recommend that before council. The next item relates to project kickoff. We need a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing under certain conditions the execution and delivery by Spartanburg County, South Carolina, of a fee in lieu of tax agreement for project kickoff with respect to an industrial project in the county whereby the project would be subject to a payment of certain fees of taxes, whereby project kickoff will be provided certain credits against fee payments and reimbursement of investment in related qualified infrastructure. Here, motion that we approve the resolution. Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Recommended from council. Next item also relates to project kickoff. You will hear a motion to approve on first reading to an ordinance the execution and delivery of a FELO project kickoff.
So moved.
Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Recommended full council. The last item, we need a motion to approve on first reading to amend the agreement for development of a joint county industrial business park dated as of June 25th, 2001, by and between Spartanburg County and Cherokee County, South Carolina. Other matters related thereto.
So moved.
Moved. Approve on first reading. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We recommend the full council at 5:30. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Britt. I think Mr. Brown's still in court. He's supposed to be here around 4 o'clock, correct, David?
Yes.
Our items under public health today. Personnel and Finance, Honorable Bob Walker, Chairman, Jeff Ford, and Jane Hall, members. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, First of all, we want to receive information and take the desired action in reference to the Accommodation Tax Advisory Committee recommendation for fiscal year 2016. Mr. Bill Clary.
I presume that y'all have the recommendations out of the committee to be made. And I will not go down those. I would mention we had 3 no-shows at the presentation, and therefore those we did not, as a committee, agree to recommend anything to those, but the rest of them are as you see them. But we'd be happy to answer any questions you got about it.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a lot of questions. I always do every year.
Good.
I'm a little concerned. I've heard from 2 individuals who had submitted a request and either did not get their notification to actually come and present in a timely manner. As a matter of fact, we have the Shriners representatives here. Joe Sessions, as well as Team Spartanburg is here that usually does that. We also have Stone Soup representative here that does that. I think there is extenuating circumstances in their situation. Actually, what I'd like to do at this time, Mr. Chairman, is move that we hold this off until our next meeting.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Yeah, let me ask a question. Would you like us to do anything?
Well, we will, I think we'll have Ms. O'Neill to get back to you, and we'll give you some instructions, or we'll talk about, not necessarily instructions, share with you as to what we'd like to do, so that'd be okay with you?
Sure.
I think there's just some questions as to, you know, if someone files an application but they don't show for the presentation, you know, where do we stand with that?
Yeah, the history has been, and it's happened before, is that we assumed that they were either not committed to the application or withdrawing or whatever, and that's why we recommend it.
But you assume, do you have anything written in your
No, we
bylaws
do
that
not.
states? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get with you, all right?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. Second item is receive information, take desired action in reference to restructuring of staff in the auditor's office and the Honorable Sharon West.
Thank you, Bob.
Ms. West.
Thank you, Council. Jeff, I think you maybe fishing some. On April 23rd, I sent several personnel action forms along with a detailed letter to you, Human Resources, explaining some restructuring plans I had for my office staff. I was subsequently advised that I needed to get council approval to do this. So I sent you a copy of the details, and having that in mind, I'm just going to quickly go over what my plans are. I'm changing one of my deputy positions to that of an office operations supervisor. I'm changing 2 tax listing clerk positions to administrative assistants and hiring 1 new tax listing clerk to replace a retiring employee. These are all positions that I have in my office now, so I'm not adding any positions, personnel, and the financial requirement is actually $5,800 and some odd dollars less than what's presently in my budget. So since you have the letter, if you have any questions that I didn't answer in that letter, I'll be happy to try to answer those now.
We appreciate the fact, number one, that you're saving us money. That's the number one fact. But does anyone have any questions, Ms. West?
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to thank you, Sharon, for doing this prior to our budget cycle starting again. It's very hard, I think, in mid-year when we have things come up and we're shifting and changing around. So thank you for doing this on the front of our budget process.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion that we approve this request?
Motion.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. That passes. All right, you also have in your packet the updated financial data and the personnel vacancy report. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. No items under livability today.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Keith, Sharon, having to come back at 5:30, you know, I'll support it as well.
Sound like you're good to go, Ms. West.
Thank you.
You go take care of the tax receipts.
Thanks for that public safety and, well, skip that as long as Terry. Can we do that, Councilman, legally?
You wanted to skip that committee?
Yeah, just since Michael's not here, he should be here. I'm move it around. Let's go to land use. Right behind it, maybe Michael said he'd be here at 4 o'clock. Land use, Jeff Murphy, Chairman, Jane Hall, Justin Bradley, members. First item, update for area performance planning. Bob Hartrecker here, planning director to present. Bob, how you doing today?
Just fine, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon.
Good.
Good afternoon. I'll give you just a second. Mr. Debbie's going to help me. Mr. Chairman, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
We can go back.
We want to proceed, or have we want to go ahead and proceed? Yeah, go ahead. Our way. You our way. Keep it up. There you go. We bring like you leave, Brian. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here this afternoon to give you an update on our area performance planning process. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you. As you all know, County Council authorized us to undertake a performance planning process, and that was an outgrowth of your strategic planning process last year. And we like to think that for us that we're part of the purposeful planning. It's not working either. This is not a good day for me. The purposeful planning part of the mission statement that you adopted. It is an outgrowth of the process that you adopted before. And that's the reason that we're going forward. But this process, it literally is a balance between quality of life and economic development. We've seen a number of economic development successes over the past year or so, and I think everyone realizes that it's important to balance those successes with the great quality of life that we've got here in the county. I know I've been here just a little over 2 years, and the quality of life here is just outstanding. There's just all sorts of things to do. You see that every month from the livability committee that Jane chairs to just
Pull that microphone closer to you, Bob.
across the board. I'm sorry, is that better, Mr.
That's what
Thank you. And so literally we're striking a balance between the quality of life that our residents enjoy and the growth and development that we know is coming. We talk about, once again, economic development projects virtually every meeting. And it's important that we protect the homeowners and all those things that we hold dear here in the county and protect those interests while at the same time making sure that we encourage that growth. So with area performance planning, we've got a quantitative and a qualitative process. Quantitative, the best way to look at that is to consider that as empirical data. That's just data that helps you in decision making, that helps you decide what you're going to do. Qualitative is the citizen input, stakeholder input part of this process. We're going to talk about both of those. And some of these slides you've seen before, and some of them I know will be new to you. We think with the quantitative side of things that we've got, we're using growth projectors as a guide. We talked about that before. We're using growth classifications and methodology for implementing the performance plan. On the qualitative side, we're community-based. We've got a vision for the community that we use through public forums and stakeholder meetings within the district. Here's some slides on the quantitative side. You can see here, these are slides by Clemson University, the Strong Thurman Institute at Clemson. And they show density of growth in the upstate. And if you look at these slides, and I know that they're hard to see for those in the audience, but this is the Greenville urban area. This is the Spartanburg urban area. And these show urban growth in 1990 to 2000, projected 2010 to 2020, and projected 2020 to 2030. And you can just see the darker the color, the more dense that things get. And so there's a lot of growth projected for this area, and I think that we all know that. There are other studies. Here's another study from North Carolina State University. It shows projected urban land cover in the year 2060. And it literally covers the eastern seaboard right here, Spartanburg and Greenville, sort of right in the middle of all that. The I-85 corridor is a strong spine for that growth. So in implementing this process, we use freeways, arterials, collectors, and local roads as the main implementation methodology. We've talked about this once again before, and these are things that citizens can relate to and are things that that are tangible that you can see. And once again, I think these three maps show, once again, I know they're very hard to see, but they show traffic growth in the Spartanburg urban area in the year 1987, 1997, 2007, and 2012. These are maps from the South Carolina Department of Transportation. Generally, the darker the line and the thicker the lines, the more the traffic. And particularly if you focus on 87, 2012, you can see the real difference in terms of growth of traffic as a direct result of the growth that we're experiencing in this area. These maps are density maps of person per square mile. They're for the years 1990, 2000, and 2010 across the board here. Particularly, I think if you compare 2090 to 2010, you'll see strong growth in the Bowling Springs area, in the southwest area, which is the first area that we're looking at in our process. Just once again, a means of quantifying the growth that we're seeing. These two maps are maps that show the 2010 density map, and they just sort of they juxtapose that against the other maps, which are the 5 areas that County Council approved for us to look at. And of course, we're focusing now on the blue area, the southwest area. So we talk about quantitative things. We'll talk a little bit about qualitative measures. We're asking that the committee consider both the appointment of advisory and technical committees that would assist us in advising the planning commission staff about this process and our efforts going forward. We think that the advisory committee would serve as an advisor and sounding board to the planning commission and our project team. They provide guidance and oversight, and they be an advocate for the project and for the process in terms of the way that we're approaching area performance planning. The membership would consist of the chairman of the planning commission. This is on the advisory committee. A council member or members from each district. Real estate development representatives to include commercial developer, residential builder developer, real estate agents. A transportation representative, which we would identify as the Spartanburg County Public Works Director. Large landowners, employers, and informal community leaders. The technical committee, the advisory technical committee, is more technical in nature, and they would advise staff and the planning commission with regard to the specific technical aspects of any ordinance development or whatever we would do. These would be individuals that actually practice in the field, that interact with the county on a weekly, monthly basis with development projects. The membership of the technical committee would consist of large-scale residential and multifamily developer representatives, commercial real estate developer representatives, engineers, to include the Spartanburg County engineer, and representatives from the engineering community that actually practice engineering in Spartanburg County, transportation representatives from SCDOT and from SPATS, land use attorneys, environmental community representatives, and informal community leaders. So once again, establishment of an advisory committee, a technical advisory committee to help guide this process, both with somewhat similar but different charges in terms of what we would be asking them to do. In addition to those committees, we would have a number of stakeholders. You can see them here. Those would include citizens and individuals within those different categories that you see outlined there. Once again, doing everything that we can to try to get input from a broad spectrum of folks with respect to this process. Finally, Mr. Chairman, this is my last slide. This is a slide that superimposes here our planning, Southwest planning area that you've authorized us to undertake, with a map that shows it relative to the rest of the county here. But within the first map, it shows county council districts and how for this area, there are two predominant county council districts. Those are council districts 4 and 6. And so as a result of that, with this process and the appointment of these individuals, we relied on Councilwoman Hall and Councilwoman Nutt with respect to advice with regard to who those individuals would be. And I think, Mr. Chairman, that's pretty much all that I have. I believe Ms. O'Neill may want to say a few words with respect to who these members would be, but I'll try my best to ask any questions. And once again, I apologize for the early technical difficulties.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Bob indicated, we've been working with Vice Chairman Hall and with Councilman Nutt on individuals who would be good representatives in the southwestern corridor planning area. And at your seat, we've provided a listing of suggested individuals for the technical advisory subcommittee, as well as the stakeholder groups. So these groups would not be necessarily seen as a standing or ad hoc committee that council would appoint, but more in line with a working citizen committee. So unless council has any objection to us moving forward in this regard, Bob and I would work with Vice Chairman Hall and Councilman Nutt to contact these individuals and start moving the process forward.
Okay, any questions for Mr. O'Neill or Mr. Hargrave?
Can I get you to flip back, if you can find it, to the slide that showed about the roads, corridors, arteries, arteries, and so forth? I want to ask you a question there. I believe it was behind, before that. Hey, that one there. Is that it?
For that one. Those are density.
It's the one that had all the list of the type of roads that you have. There was no pictures. I'm sorry, that one right there.
Yes, sir.
All right, we talk in terms, these are not really specific, they're the general terms that we're looking at. And we say local roads down there, so it may be unpaved. Well, are we counting roads that need to be paved or in bad pavement? My concern is we're developing a plan on roads and how to get to and so forth. And if we don't bring these roads up, then we're going to be behind the 8 ball to start with. And that's my concern, Mr. Chairman, is that and I'm not saying we don't do this, but my concern is we've got roads that don't meet where they need to be, and we're going to say, okay, this is going to be how we're going to on collectors or freeways or whatever is going to be there is based on the condition of those roads. We know most of them are not in good condition. So I'm concerned there is how we're going to plan those roads up to the standards that we want them to be in order so that when we set this plan up and do it, that we're handling it in a good plan.
Catherine, you got a response?
Sure. Councilman Walker, the area performance planning is largely focused on land use. And so as part of the process, we'll be inventorying roads and how they perform in the community now as traffic collectors. Of course, as part of that process, the planning data that we gather on them would be important to bring to the Public Works Committee so that we can talk about future improvements. I know Councilman Nutt has talked about in some of these areas that he and Vice Chairman Hall are looking at. Some of the roads may be considered a local road right now because they don't have a lot of traffic, there's a lot of open land, but as the development is continuing, they're really serving more as a collector, and that we need to work through our planning process to kind of get ahead of that with the improvements. And I think that's really what you're driving at. No
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But for the area performance planning process, that would be geared more for helping to gather the data to help council with making those types of decisions in your planning process that was separate from this and more in the Public Works Committee, if that helps.
I would think that the data that we collect as we go through this process is going to probably identify areas and needs that may have been under the radar for a while. So I look at this as a positive way to identify those things, either things that are being affected today or in the near future as growth continues. But primarily, we're looking at the growth parameters at this time so that we designate and identify that if someone is going to put an industry on an arterial road, there will be certain expectations versus if they wanted to go onto a collector or a local road, then there would be different expectations of them to protect the surrounding area, the natural resources, and the people who are located there now. So, this is really a protection thing for individual residents who may live in the local roads area, rural roads, whatever, and also to identify things that we expect as we continue with our growth and our planning, that we expect industry or other businesses to understand and take advisement when they locate.
Absolutely. And to Councilman Walker's point, so some of the roads, I know that it mentions unpaved in this slide. Some of the roads that we're talking about are actually paved and they're not wide enough. We've been working in the Public Works Committee on the infrastructure fund for the next budget and talked about, for example, Snow Road, the public-private partnership that we're working on to try to widen will be already a paved road that's turning into a more heavily trafficked road. So I think that's where you're headed, but I wanted to be sure that that we'll be addressing those types of concerns. It may just be separate from the area performance planning process.
Roger. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank Councilman Hall and the staff. We've all been working very diligently on this process. A lot of it has been done away from this full council, and we're trying to get it right so that because this is the first one, and there's going to be 4 others, I guess, that will come after this, and so we will make sure we get it at least close to being right. I'm sure it will be added to. I wanted to comment on what you asked, Councilman Walker, and this was before you and Justice Thomas, so just for your benefit. When this was brought up, one of the main things that really put this idea over the top was that it included council's commitment to infrastructure. And we had our strategic planning meeting, and one of the main things that we brought out of that was that, and what government does and should do very well, is to provide for its infrastructure and make sure that we not only grow, but we have the resources to do that, and that growth is not waiting on us. So if we do have some of those roads, we say, yeah, you can put a subdivision on that road, but yet, as it stands right now, we go, oh, well, not that road, and keep going on that road. So we're kind of limited, but I think with this process, one of the things we're trying to do is when we identify those roads, that we do is, as our administrator has said, that we identify that we've got some infrastructure that if the growth is coming there, and that's where people are going, and that's a Snow Road is a great, who would have thought 5 years ago that that's the new booming area, but it is, not because we've decided that, but because the market has decided that. And then we got to go in there and say, okay, we can't stop people from letting the market take care of itself, so we've got to put in the infrastructure to make sure that we've got what it needs to grow. Can't do that with everybody because we've got limited funds, but we've taken a big step with the Steve Ballou Fund, and hopefully that will grow over time and we'll be able to do more things. But I think that in conjunction with what we're doing here, I think separately that these two things would probably fail. But together, if we have the designation and we have the commitment to infrastructure, I think this could be a fantastic thing for Spartanburg County. So I applaud Councilman Hall for her efforts so far. She's done a lot of work on this, and we hope to get this right and we get everybody's input. And I think, just for the council's benefit, we've got a good list of people here who have been called on, and they have said they would dedicate their time to this very important process. Everybody on this list has said this process can work and that we are for this process, and we need to move forward. And hopefully that's going to be a great team building thing for Spartanburg County. So.
Bob, Catherine, one thing I just thought of, and I hate to bring this on you a little bit, but I didn't see any school district representatives here, board members or superintendents, but nothing in our area turned the road from a local road to a collector road like a school district putting another school in. So we may need to bring them into the mix.
Sure. Ironically, the school districts are actually excluded from the Planning and Enabling Act as far as being part of. But we have been working with the school district superintendents to bring them into the planning process so that we can work together as a team in planning where school sites are envisioned. So I would anticipate that you'll be hearing more about that in the weeks and months to come.
Well, I would still love to be able to figure out some way that when they're talking about moving or building another school in a different area, which District 2 continuously does, and my girlfriend is on the school board, which is my wife. She won't even tell me. When I don't know about it. I read about it in the paper because they always do it in executive session. But with that being said, we need to get some input from them on where they're headed, so that we can properly plan, because it really affects us in Bowling Springs area.
And unofficially, I have been talking with the school superintendents as we've gone through this process. So most of them are aware of what we're doing, what we're attempting to do. But as Catherine said, I think there's some state things that either prohibit or kind of we have to circumvent in order to get them officially on board.
All right, any other questions for Bob and Catherine on this? Just receiving information today. All right, thank you very much. Now we're back up to Honorable Public Safety and Judiciary, Honorable Michael Brown, Chairman, Roger Nutt, Bob Walker, members, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we could, former Chief Ron Nordenbrock is here to provide some wonderful, needed information in terms of introducing a new fire chief in Poplar Springs.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of council. It's my pleasure. Well, many of you may know that I'm retiring July 4th, going out with a bang. But I just wanted to come this afternoon and thank you, and then introduce our new department chief, Chief Tommy Norris.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, council. It's nice to be back home in Spartanburg again. Thank you for this recognizing me. I look forward to working with each one of you, staff, and the citizens of Poplar Springs. Thank you very much.
Where do you come from?
I was in Allendale, South Carolina. I actually worked in Charleston County, but it's a tax district, Allendale Fire Department.
Good to have you back.
But I'm from Warren Springs. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good retirement.
Thank you.
Rob.
Mr. Chairman. Next on the receive information, take desired action in reference to a VAWA, Violence Against Women Act grant. Mr. Murray Glenn from the Solicitor's Office here to give us some information.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of council. It's good to see you. This grant here is a continuation of a successful partnership we've had going on with the state for years. The local match is already built into our budget, and we simply just ask for your blessing and our ongoing fight against domestic violence. Thank you. Any questions? Happy to build for you. Thank you.
Entertain a motion as relates to the submittal of a grant application for this grant.
See that grant application in the package.
I move we accept the request.
Properly moved.
I'll second. I trust you.
Been properly moved and second as relates to the submittal of a grant application for the purposes of the Violence Against Women Act grant. All in favor, let it be known about.
Aye.
None opposed. We'll send this to full council for consideration. Next, we receive information, take desired action in reference to a 2015 local emergency management performance grant. Mr. Doug Bryson, our coordinator of Spartanburg County Emergency Management Center, received.
Good afternoon. First, before we get into this, just wanted to make everybody aware that, as usually happens during these meetings, there are severe thunderstorms coming, probably within the next hour or two. So if you're on the code red system, make sure that your phones are on vibrate, because there's a significant line of storms at the Georgia line right now headed this way. So, back to this. This is an annual performance grant that we are awarded by FEMA. There is no hard money match. It is an in-kind match. And this supports our operations and sustains what programs we already have in place, and also special projects, and allows us to upgrade any equipment. One of the main special projects that I have in place for this money this year is to expand our public notification system, like you see here in the administration building, with the video monitors, with the information and the radar and the weather announcements. Been speaking with Hope Blackley, and we'd like to expand that project into the judicial center, so that should give us funding to take care of that as well too. But it's just basically a course of action for approval. It's a grant that we are approved for by the federal government every year.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
May I entertain a motion as relates to the approval of submitting the grant application for this local emergency management performance grant?
So good.
Second.
Probably moving to second. Any other questions? Not. You approve this, you know, as aye. None opposed. We'll send this to full council for consideration. Thank you. Next, receive information, take desired action in reference to authorize the commission of Christopher Marion White, Animal Control Officer, as a Spartanburg County Code Enforcement Officer. It's a simple request, Jamie, as I understand it. Self-explanatory, so I'll entertain a motion as it relates to authorizing this commission.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moving to second. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
None opposed. We'll send this on to full council for consideration. And last, receive information, take desired action in reference to the Greenville County Animal Services contract. Our county administrator is going to give us some information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your agenda package, you have a copy of an extension of our agreement with Greenville County to assist us with animal services. This would be an opportunity for us to extend a good partnership. They've been very helpful in working with us.
Questions from anybody else?
Can I, Ms. O'Neill, just to make sure that we, being new, is this is a continuation of the contract that we've got right now, right?
This is no change in the terms.
Right, and if I understand correctly, I don't see the copy I had that I was reading from, that it's for multiple years, but we do have the right to get out of the contract. Either side has the right to get out of the contract, right?
Yes, sir. For planning purposes, this would extend our contract to 2017, and there's an opportunity for us to renew up to 3 additional times for 1-year terms.
That's right. From full council, I entertain a motion as it relates to approving this contract and authorizing our county administrator to execute.
So moved.
Appears it may not make it out of our committee. This has been moved, and as I understand, it won't be seconded. So for the purposes of bringing this before full council, I'll second the motion. And with that, can't turn over to Roger to move it along. Since I second the motion.
Yeah. Call for the question?
Yes.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Yeah, let's have it.
And we'll send this on full council for its consideration.
Thank you.
Noting Mr. Nutt's objection. That's all the matters that come before the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, no items on the public works today other than what's in your packet. And this concludes our committees, and we will meet with our graduates at 5 and have our meeting at 5:30. And if you're leaving, be careful in the storms today. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. Earlier today, we had our committee meetings. First item on the agenda is our invocation. So I'd like to call on the chaplain name, Mr. Durham, please. Render our invocation. Mr. Durham, how are you today, sir? Great, thank you. Thanks for being here, sir.
All stand. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for allowing us to see another day. Thank you for the blessings that you have brought our way. Come, our Father, thanking you for the peace you bring in our lives. For when we pray and call upon your name and enter your presence, it gives us peace that passes all understanding. We pray that you continue to protect us and provide for us throughout all that we desire to do and become. We pray your purpose will continue to be fulfilled in our lives. Let us know that you're in charge of all that we do and all that we can ever become. We pray much for our council meeting tonight, that you will guide us and lead us through it. We continue to ask your hands upon all the leadership throughout Spartanburg County government and county council and the work that they do. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Durham. And I would like to thank you for your diligence to this council and at this time, I'd like to call on Cap. Okay, one more. Sorry. You may see. Neil, just gave me instructions for the. Got a great meeting we had Friday morning at the sheriff's office. Did a tremendous job. We're ready. You would stand, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep it a tradition. We ask everyone to stand and remain silent during the approach of our national and state colors. Lieutenant Province, the colors present.
Sir, colors present.
Present the colors.
Yes, sir.
Carry. Colors.
Forward. Hook. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Praise and I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order.
Carry.
Catherine, if you would, please.
Mr. Chairman and members of council, the Steve Young National Honor Guard competition, which is sponsored by the Fraternal Order of Police, occurs every May 14th as part of National Police Week. The National Honor Guard competition and demonstration provides an opportunity for law enforcement organizations to perform ceremonious and patriotic tributes for public viewing. These teams are a highly dedicated group of law enforcement officers who represent organizations from all across this nation and Canada. They converge on the nation's capital every year for National Police Week, where peace officers are honored for their dedicated service to the protection of our communities. The day of May 15th is known as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, a day when the nation honors those officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice. This event is the tribute these teams give to honor our fallen officers and their families. The Spartanburg County Sheriff's Rifle Team, drill team, has just returned from Washington, D.C., where they competed against 19 other national teams and placed fourth, behind the U.S. Border Patrol, U.S. Capitol Police, and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. The competition was judged by the military attachment, which is also responsible for the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and is a very difficult and coveted prize. Congratulations, gentlemen. The team members who competed were Captain Alan Freeman, Captain Randy Hollifield, Corporal Jeremy Thomas, Deputy Cameron Bridges, Sergeant Brian Likers, Lieutenant Terry Cody, Sergeant Robert Atkins, Deputy Derek McBriar, Lieutenant William Robson, and Deputy John Wright. Council, I know that you'll join me in sharing that we are very proud of these deputies and the great national recognition that they have brought for Spartanburg County and Sheriff Chuck Wright. And if you'll turn your attention to the screens, please, we have a video for you. brought to Spartanburg County with this award.
Or hook, right, hunt, forward, hook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we go to the second item, presentations. We have item A, presentation of the SCDA South Carolina Economic Development Association Distinguished Service Award to Carter Smith, and a representative from SCID here forward to present. Carter? Brian? And Carter, come on, bud.
Mr. Chairman, council members, thank you. I come to you on two accounts today. One as the treasurer of the Economic Development Association, and then two as his colleague. I thought I might just read a couple things from the nomination process about Carter. We solicited letters from, I've reached out to about 10 of our peers around the state, including Bobby Hitt, Max Metcalf from BMW. In every, it's 100%, everyone submitted their nomination letters in support of Carter for this Distinguished Service Award, which they don't give out every year. They've only given out a handful of times in the 50 years of the existence of SCID. But Carter has spent 32 wildly successful years in economic development spread across Spartanburg, York County, and Jasper County. He was a pioneer in economic development, being one of the first in South Carolina to gain his nationally recognized professional accreditation as a CECD in 1987. Over his storied career, Carter was directly involved in billions of announced capital investment and the creation of thousands upon thousands of jobs. In the last 5 years alone in Spartanburg County, he, along with your help, has accounted for over $3.87 billion in capital investment and the creation of nearly 7,000 jobs. It's been my pleasure to know Carter for the past 13 years, but it was only through the last 6 years of working side by side with him that I fully come to appreciate his value, both professionally and personally. Carter has taught me much more than the X's and O's of economic development. Carter Smith has showed me how to be a better father, a better husband, a better citizen, and a flat-out better person. It's this legacy he will leave in South Carolina that justifies him being named the recipient of the SCETA Distinguished Service Award. It's this legacy we should all aspire to. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, present Carter with this award.
Thank you.
Well, probably not. I just appreciate the recognition. I greatly appreciate the working relationship that I've enjoyed with County Council for 24, 25 years now. And that's one of the reasons success that we have is y'all's cooperation, and also one of the reasons why I've always enjoyed doing the work and never had a day that I didn't really want to go to work, particularly here in Spartanburg County. Thank y'all very much.
Carl, we've enjoyed working with you, and this is about the second time I've been with you when you received awards. I'm glad to get back in and knock a hole in the door so I can get your head out.
I tell you what, these are very nice. So that's, I'll just use those chips later.
Dave?
I tell you, Carter, stand up there for another second. I can't let you sit down without saying a few things. I've been doing this for 25 years. You and I started exactly at the same time. And I'm probably closer to Carter. In fact, I know I talk to Carter more than I do most of my family members. Almost talk to him on a daily basis. And the people of Spartanburg have no idea what a gem we have in Carter. The people who are employed here, over 35,000 jobs that you've had your finger on for the past 25 years, they know. Whether they're BMW, the newest announcement, Cabelco, and some of these other companies. Carter is a quiet giant. He's a lot like you. Doesn't say a lot of words as evidence today, but when he does speak, people listen. But they not only listen, they have confidence in him, because not only has Carter and the team recruited 35,000 jobs here, $14 billion invested in this county at a time when we all desperately needed it. When the textile industry went goodbye, we were very fortunate. We had a professional that could help us repair all the holes that we had in our employment. But Carter does it. He does it great. He's got a good teammate right there in Angie. Got a great family. And around him, Carter always gives everybody else the credit. Brian Nash, Royal Comer, in the councils we work with, the chamber presidents. Now we've got a really exciting chamber president, Alan Smith, right out there. You ain't seen nothing yet. So the team that we have in place with these 7 council members up here, they all get it. We haven't always had it with 7 council members that always got it. There have been some, we had to drag along. But this team up here now, they get it. In our administration, Catherine and Carter and Brian and I talk probably 4 to 5 times a week, or days a week, many times for that email or texting. But it's the team. Again, our staff, whether, whatever county department, everybody gets it, even the citizens. So that's why Spartanburg sets all these records. This award that Carter was given has only been awarded 6 times in 50 years. So it doesn't happen, like Ryan said, every year, only 6 times. And that says a lot about Carter and about the team that he has together. So thank you, Carter, for the work you do all the time. And Ryan and Angie and everybody else up there now.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And I'm sure Angie agrees. You and I talk more than I do to some of my family.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, because we don't talk that long. We listen and get off.
Exactly. You got it. Thank you very much. All of y'all. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Carter. Next, we have item B, a resolution congratulating and recognizing Hunter Johnny for being named South Carolina's Education Association Teacher of the month of February 2015, being named as a finalist for the 2015 Teacher of the Year, Mr. Justin Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm honored to be able to recognize Mr. Jolly too. You want to have your family come down and join us as well. And I see Mr. Chuck Gordon as well from Bowling Springs High School principal. I'd like to come down and join us as well to present this. I'm particularly proud to present this, not just because I get to present this to a great teacher and someone who's really inspiring our students, but also because it's from my alma mater at Bowling Springs High School. And I'm proud to have graduated from there, and I know we have a great team at Bowling Springs High School. And I know we're here to recognize Mr. Jolly, but I know you stand in the gap for a lot of teachers that often don't get things done for the hard work that they do. So we appreciate their work. So this is a resolution congratulating and recognizing Hunter Jolly for being named the South Carolina Education Association's Teacher of the Month for February 2015 and being named as a finalist for the 2015 South Carolina Teacher of the Year. Whereas pride and honor have been bestowed upon Spartanburg County by the achievements of Hunter Jolly being named the South Carolina Education Association's Teacher of the Month for February 2015 and being named as finalist for the 2015 South Carolina Teacher of the Year. And whereas he is a chemistry and environmental sciences teacher at Bowling Springs High School, Spartanburg County District 2, whereas Hunter Jolly was named District 2 Teacher of the Year for 2014 and Bowling Springs High School's 2014 Teacher of the Year, whereas he is extremely active in educational leadership both on and off school campus by being the district's inaugural lead science instructor, serving as a board member on the South Carolina Science Council, being an adjunct professor in elementary education at USC, being an educational consultant with Gardner Webb, serving as editor for the SC Smarter Balance Digital Library, and serving as junior class advisor and prom advisor at Bowling Springs High School. And now there be it resolved that Spartanburg County Council does hereby recognize Hunter Jolly for his contributions to the total education experience through his quality career guidance. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Hunter Jolly in recognition thereof and be made a part of the permanent minutes of Spartanburg County Council adopted this 18th day of May 2015, tested Catherine L. O'Neill, County Administrator, and signed by Spartanburg County Council Chairman Jeff Wharton. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt this resolution.
Have a motion? Second. Any other discussion? Mr. Gordon, I'm in there every Thanksgiving at least, and that school still looks as good as it did when I graduated in 1978. You're doing a fine job over there.
Thank you for that. He's a fine person to show you.
Sir, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, I vote for it. Passes. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Next, we have recognition of our graduates of the Spartanburg County Citizens Academy. I'm told we have the best looking and the smartest. Well, I know you're fearless leader in Cat River. That has to be true. First, we have Walter Belton. Mr. Belton. Wait one second. Finally, we get something right around here. First thing. Oh. Sheena Brown, how are you today? Mr. Bolson. How are you today? Sir. Great. Davis Dawkins. Larry Eastman. Got them bulldog colors tonight. Shirley Glenn. Donna Harris. Yes, you do the right. Like I said, we finally got something right, County. Letitia Jones. Everyone's color coordinated. Lily McCain.
Thank you.
Lucille McIntyre. I knew I didn't have any hard names tonight because Kathy didn't coach me before. Now, wait a minute now. Alora Carter. Did I get that right? All right. My phonics paid off. Roll Warren Springs. Regina Rayner. Elsie. I got yours. Yes, sir. Jack Vickers Jr. Jack, again, thank you. I heard nothing but great comments, even when they came forward and not talking about what a great job you've done and the county staff with this Citizens Academy. And I would invite all of the residents, if you want to learn more about the county government, it's a very good class. And you get to meet a lot of different people, learn a lot about how your tax dollars are being spent and who controls what. And so again, I thank you for your dedication. And earlier today, we had our committees. We need a lot of people on committees, so hopefully, Kathy, you will continue to generate prospects from this group from that as well. But Kathy, thank you and your team for the leadership. Anyone want to say anything?
She did a marvel.
No, wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Great. Thank you. All right, they have something they'd like to present.
On behalf of the class of 2015, we'd like to present Kathy with a love offering. I want you to know that we appreciate your hospitality and the way you carry yourself.
Kathy, this was the 16th class, Kathy?
That's correct.
16th class, so thank you very much for your participation. All right, so item 3, employee recognition, Catherine O'Neill, Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's always my pleasure to recognize our extended family members. So the individuals that I'm going to be recognizing tonight, they may not have Spartanburg County on their pay voucher, but I can tell you that they dedicate their time to us as if they did. So Doug, Bryson, first I want to thank you for bringing this team to my attention and to give us the opportunity tonight to recognize them. As I call your name, if you'll stand up. Kristen James. Hi, Kristen. Kristen is the disaster coordinator with the Spartanburg Area Mental Health. I'm going to introduce the members of her team. Stephanie Kerrigan. Hi, Stephanie. Linda Grady. Linda, you're with Greenville Mental Health. Greg Merritt. I heard you here. No, Greg? Greg serves with the South Carolina FAST Coordinator. He's with Clear Springs Fire and Rescue. Fergie Horvath, did I get that right? Close? Fergie. She's the chaplain. She's the chaplain with the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office. Keith Davis. Hey, Keith. Keith is the pastor of Zion Hill Baptist Church. And Tommy Sparks. Hi, Tommy. Pastor of Pacolet Baptist Church. So this team responded to the psychological and mental health needs of the first responders who were at the tragic accident on I-26 that claimed the lives of 6 people. Kristen responded to a call from Doug Bryson at 4 a.m. Kristen, I've gotten those calls before too, so I love you for responding. And assembled a team. You actually were the hero here. They provided counseling on scene as well as helping with the ongoing needs of our responders. While the Department of Mental Health is a key partner in our plans and exercises, this was the first true real-time response, and everyone was very impressed and very grateful. These professionals are unsung heroes and a great asset in the time of need. These mental health professionals provided valuable counseling to the coroner staff and other emergency response professionals in a time that we honestly hope never happens. I'd like to also read an email that came from our coroner, Rusty Clevenger. He couldn't be here this evening. He wanted to share his appreciation. He said he was notified of the recognition of this team today. He said, unfortunately, at a prior engagement and unable to attend. He said, I agree wholeheartedly that Kristen and her team are unsung heroes and a great asset in time of need. She and the other mental health professionals provided valuable counseling to my staff and other emergency response professionals in a time that we really hope never happens. In reality, it does. Please extend my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to their team for helping us. So, Council, will you join me in thanking this extended family of ours? Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Keith. Next, we go to item 4, public hearings. Item 8, need to announce that we are working through details for this ordinance with the city, and we have not finalized. And we will schedule second public hearing once we have incorporated those details into the ordinance policies and project review. Close that public hearing. Open item B, to consider a budget ordinance related to the fiscal affairs of Spartanburg County, making appropriations therefore, levying taxes for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2015 and ending June 30, 2016, to provide for a budget control of said appropriations by Spartanburg County Council. Anyone to speak on behalf of item B, the budget ordinance? Close B. Open C, to consider a budget ordinance to establish capital projects budgets for the 2015-2016 budget year of the 5-year capital improvement plan. Anyone to speak on behalf of this public hearing? Doesn't seem. Close C. Open D, to consider an application for a special public event exclusion from the noise ordinance requested by Greer Dragway from 4 p.m. to midnight on Saturday, June 13, 2015, and Saturday, June 27, 2015 for a drag race at 1792 Dragway Road, Greer. Anyone speak on behalf of this public hearing? Doesn't seem. Open item E, to consider an application for a special public event exclusion from the noise ordinance requested by Boiling Springs Ale House from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Thursday, June 11, 2015, and from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. on Saturday, June 20, 2015 for a live music outside 2220 Bowling Springs Road, Bowling Springs. We did have some individuals sign up to speak. First, we have John Rogers of age 16, Tapper Lane. John, are you here? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and County Council. Put my glasses on so I can see. I'm the president of the Sterling Estates HOA Board. On May 11th, we met for a regular scheduled executive session. The outdoor concerts at the Ale House and how it would affect our residents were discussed in that meeting. There were several concerns that were communicated to me by my fellow board members, as this event has been compared to Music on Main by the owners and managers of the Ale House. The first, obviously, was the noise that the outdoor concert will bring residents of Sterling Estates, and although it does not affect the whole subdivision, it does very loudly disturb some of the residents. It can be heard inside many of those homes that are on Chippendale Lane. Secondly, this event is for profit. We understand that it does create a gathering place for Bowling Springs community, but unlike Music on Main, it only generates income for the Ale House and not for the surrounding businesses. We do understand that all businesses want to market themselves in many ways as possible, but the Ale House has an indoor stage that will allow live bands to play for their patrons, keeping the noise inside. They also have a patio outside that allows the people to mingle as well. In the end, we all agreed that if this noise ordinance exemption was for a one-time fundraiser for someone or something in the community, we may be more open, but it's simply to bring more business to the Ale House, and we see no compromise in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Charles Wyatt, 518 Chippendale.
Thank you, members of council. Again, this month, we talked about the noise ordinance and the exemption, and the one point that I think we wanted to point out was, again, we're not opposed to, and I said at the last meeting, not opposed to outdoor events at the Ale House. It's the music amplification. The unlawful amplifications in section 3031 says to operate or allow the operation of any sound amplification equipment as to carry sounds which is so unreasonably loud and unseemly to disturb others beyond the premises to which the equipment is located. And that's the problem. It's the amplification in their parking lot. If it stayed in their parking lot, we would have no problem with that, but it's permeating throughout the apartment complex, Eagle Point. We had a citizen last time here at Eagle Point, said his windows were vibrating at his house, and then of course over in Sterling Estates. So would ask you just to please consider staying by the spirit of this ordinance, especially the part about amplification, not being selfish for just our residents, for the Bowling Springs community. The precedent that this was set, this last business was here last time and asked for 5 days. Now they're back asking for a couple more. And again, we're just worried about this Pandora's box. If this is granted once, will it continue to be granted? So would ask you to please vote to keep the noise ordinance as it is. Thank you.
And Justin McCormick.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Justin McCormick. I have a very rich history here in Spartanburg County. My father was a founding member of the Marshall Tucker Band. And with that said, I'm the Justin McCormick Band that we get booked out at the Ale House quite a bit. To me, I really can't explain that this is a good problem to have to me, because it shows economic growth throughout our area, and especially Bowling Springs. What a thriving community. I mean, it's great. And although I do understand that, it was a little bit loud last time, I want everybody to understand that the stage has been moved. With this time of the year, there's leaves on the trees. Everything is not pointing in that direction anymore. Everything's pointed in the opposite direction of the way it was. And I cannot explain how much it is not our goal to upset anyone. We want everybody to join in the fun. We want everybody to enjoy the music and the arts. And although the Ale House does, they are the ones that are making money, they're generating income, it also pays us. And we're bands that, we do this pretty much professionally. It stops at 10 a.m. I personally would not ever want anything to go over 10 a.m. That's myself. I don't think that anybody's trying to turn it into a party town or anything like that. I see it as more the music and arts thriving in our area. I mean, our Spartanburg County is huge for the music and arts. We're known throughout the world for the talent that's come from this area. And I think it's just something that would be good for other bands to be able to keep that going. We have a variety of followers in my personal band. Actually, we have a couple doctors' offices that were represented last time at the Ale House. And I certainly understand the concern, for the noise. And after I thought about it last time, my focus is going in there and doing the show the best I can to where the venue wants me. That they book me. They want me to do a certain show, and that's what I thrive to do, is to satisfy the person that booked me. And quite honestly, I certainly didn't have any thoughts of the sound going as far as it did or whatever. So I know that those guys have made a big push to change the stage around, as well as, like I said, leaves being on the trees, children out of school. And I think that it'll be a little bit different scenario this time. And we did book an outdoor PA system for that, because we were asked to do an outdoor live show. Live music is a little bit loud, I understand, but we certainly don't want to make anybody mad. Certainly don't want anybody being mad at the music and the arts in Spartanburg. We want everybody to come out and join us. So that's kind of where we're standing on that right now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you.
Okay. Closes item E. Earlier today, we had our committee reports. First committee was Economic Improvement and Development. Honorable David Britt, Chairman. Mr. Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 6 items to present to full council. The committee met. On the first item, we recommended full council we render first reading to an ordinance authorizing, pursuant to Chapter 44, Title 12, the execution and delivery of fee agreement between Spartanburg County and Rite Aid of Georgia, Inc. and Flatwood Farms 1 LLC. I move that we approve on first reading.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? I vote affirmative, and it passes.
Next item, the committee recommends the full council to adopt a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of an inducement agreement by and between Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and Bahrain, Inc. Move that we adopt this resolution.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? I vote affirmative, and it passes.
Committee recommends that we render first reading to an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a special source credit agreement between Spartanburg County and Bahrain, Inc. Move that we approve on first reading.
Have a motion. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? I vote affirmative, and it passes.
Committee recommends to full council that we adopt a resolution authorizing under certain conditions, the execution and delivery by Spartanburg County of a fee in lieu tax agreement with Project Kickoff with respect to the industrial project in the county, whereby the project will be subject to payment of certain fee in lieu of taxes, and whereby Project Kickoff would be provided certain tax credits against fee payments and reimbursement of investment in related qualified infrastructure improvements. Move that we adopt this resolution.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? I vote affirmative.
Committee also recommends that we render first reading to an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee loan agreement between Spartanburg County and Project Kickoff with respect to certain economic development property in the county. Move that we adopt this resolution. We render first reading.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, I vote affirmative, and it passes.
Last item, committee recommends the full council that we render first reading to an ordinance to amend the agreement for development of a joint county industrial business park dated as of June 25th, 2001 by and between Spartanburg County and Cherokee County, South Carolina. I move that we approve on first reading.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, I vote affirmative. Passes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Britt. And it is for me to say we want more.
Yes, sir. We got more coming.
Don't stop. No items under public health. We did have a couple items under personnel and finance. Honorable Bob Walker, Chairman. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, Personnel and Finance Committee did meet earlier, and we took up two items. First, we received information in reference to the Accommodation Tax Advisory Committee and approved those recommendations. We took those under advisement. Number two is that we received information and took desired action in reference to restructuring the staff in the auditor's office to move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? No affirmative, passes.
Mr. Chairman, that completes that.
Ms. O'Neill?
Mr. Chairman, in your committee, under the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, I think earlier today, you did talk about, needed to talk later about the recommendations, but I was under the impression that you had taken a vote to postpone or to defer the item until your next meeting.
We did.
Well, basically, I think what he said, we just took it under advisement.
Right, we did, but I misstated that, so we did make a motion to accept accept the report as presented.
And then we will plan to have that on your agenda for your next meeting. I believe it was your next meeting.
Right. We didn't vote to take action per se. We did accept what they gave us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify.
That's right. So, do we need to take a vote on this full committee? I got you.
Yes,
Thank you. That's, Mr. Chairman, that concludes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Walker. No items under livability. Public Safety and Judiciary, Honorable Michael Brown, Chairman. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a few items that came before the committee for our consideration. We did get an introduction by Chief Wardenbrock of our new Poplar Springs Fire Chief. I'm glad that he's in place and understands the Spartanburg County that he's back with us. With that, I'll move to our second item. The committee received information and had reports to take desired action in reference to a Violence Against Women Act grant. I move that we approve the submission of the grant application.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, that vote affirmative, and it passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item, the committee received information and had reports to take desired action in reference to a 2015 Local Emergency Management Performance Grant. On behalf of the committee, I move that we approve the submission of the grant application.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, that vote affirmative, and it passes.
Next, Mr. Chairman, we received information and had a request to take desired action in reference to authorizing the commission of Christopher Aaron Wyatt, Animal Control Officer, as the Spartanburg County Code Enforcement Officer. On behalf of the committee, move that we authorize the commission.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, that vote affirmative, it passes.
Next, Mr. Chairman, we received information and had a request to take desired action in reference to the Greenville County Animal Services contract. On behalf of the committee, I make a motion that we approve the contract and authorize our county administrator to execute.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, I vote affirmative, and it passes.
With that, Mr. Chairman, those are the items that came before the committee. We had no other business.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Under Land Use Committee, I'm Chairman. We had an update for our area performance planning presented by Bob Hardbreaker and Catherine O'Neill. No item requested. No action requested. Public Works, Buildings and Grounds. No items. Takes us to item 6, public comment period, and we do have some individuals pre-signed to speak. We have Christina Jeffrey to speak, 801 Palmetto Street, and we have 3 minutes per speaker. Ms. Jeffrey.
Members of the Spartanburg County Council, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. The United States Refugee Resettlement Program serves many purposes, but as it is currently configured, none of these are in the interest of the United States, nor of any individual state, nor of any community. It isn't even in the interest of most refugees who are suffering in United Nations camps around the world. If it were, then the money that is being spent to bring and take care of refugees in the United States would instead be spent in countries that are actually eager to have refugees in their countries, and where the cost of supporting a refugee is about 1/500th what the cost is in the United States. There are people who are actually directly harmed by the United States refugee program. The millions of refugees left behind in the camps includes anyone who is killed by a terrorist who comes through the refugee system, which definitely cannot adequately screen, particularly, as we've seen recently, Iraqis, nor can Syrians be screened. On February 11th of this year, before the Homeland Security Committee of the Congress, Michael Stenbach, who is the assistant deputy who is in charge of screening refugees, said that Syria is a failed state. You can't screen people from failed states. They will do what they can if the United States insists on bringing refugees, but they cannot ensure our safety or the legitimacy of those refugees. Because if there are no records, if people are fleeing a war zone, they are what they say they are, and you can't find out otherwise. Poor males with low skills who are already losing jobs to younger immigrants will be harmed by increased immigration. Younger immigrants live in large family groups. They are receiving support from the U.S. taxpayers, and they can work for very low wages. American children in schools impacted by large numbers of uneducated, non-English speaking children, especially American children who are poor, are in need of special education themselves. And the taxpayers whose children are going to those schools are directly harmed by the overwhelming influx of refugees into certain areas. There's 190 cities that are receiving refugees. And Spartanburg is scheduled to be that 190th city. We, the taxpayers who pay for SSI, used it 4 times the normal rate.
Mr. Chairman, we'll give you 30 more seconds to wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
What can you do? You can support the efforts of Senator Shane Martin and Lee Bright to include an amendment in the budget to allow you to vote on whether or not refugee resettlement should take place in Spartanburg. And you can listen to the people of the county who deserve to be heard on this important issue. Thank you so much. I have some fact sheets for you.
All right.
U.S. Congress.
He's 32.
Oh, well, maybe not.
You better not.
Maybe he wants to be.
He's already gone through Walford once. You better not keep going through the second time.
And I have a few extras.
Next we have Patty Brown, 128 Sunlight.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Pierce Acres on the east side, which is within Mr. Britt's district. Lately, I and many other residents of our subdivision have been hearing small caliber gunshots quite frequently in short bursts of 6 to 10 shots throughout the day. I was able to track down the residents that the shots were coming from, and call to have a deputy come out and address the problem. It is such a definite safety issue. I was informed by the responding deputy that there is no law, statewide or through county ordinance, prohibiting the discharge of a weapon anywhere within the boundaries of the county, excepting for a provision involving hunting. My husband and I were flabbergasted by this. It is inherently dangerous to fire a gun in such close proximity to another residence. A stray bullet can kill and a ricochet can end up anywhere. Even if someone is firing into the ground, a bullet can hit a rock or root and fly around uncontrollably. This means it can hit a house, a moving vehicle, or God forbid, a person. There are many children that live within and play within this neighborhood, and what a tragedy it would be if a child were killed because of the willful negligence of the shooter and the unwillingness of any legislative body to address the circumstances in which it is permissible to discharge a firearm. We don't need to wait for a state bill that is named for a dead child. I'm not asking to infringe upon anyone's Second Amendment rights. I am a supporter of that amendment. However, it only guarantees an individual's right to keep and bear those arms. It does not grant the right to discharge a weapon recklessly. My husband and I are both former law enforcement officers. We have several guns in our home. I myself have a CWP. We would never consider firing any weapon in such close proximity to another person's property. It is incredibly irresponsible to do so, and anyone with common sense would know that. Unfortunately, there are people that either don't have that or just don't care. As a police officer, I had a 12-year-old boy die at my feet as we worked to save him. He died because of a stray bullet. I know what the consequences can be, and because of this, I am proposing that council consider drafting an ordinance prohibiting the discharge of a weapon within 300 yards of a dwelling or business. This is a safety issue, not a Second Amendment issue. No one is attempting to circumvent that amendment, but just to legislate a restriction upon where a gun can be fired. There's a lot of support within the confines of our neighborhood for some type of action to be taken. This does not only affect our subdivision, but anyone that lives within the county boundaries. The city of Spartanburg has an ordinance prohibiting the discharge of a firearm. I have to suppose that this is because it is a densely populated area. So are subdivisions. Just because I can drive a vehicle 70 miles an hour down a residential street, that doesn't mean that I should, and the state agrees by posting a speed limit. This is because it would be dangerous and irresponsible, much the same as firing a gun next to another person's home. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next we have Jason Lee, 622 Allen Street.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and County Council. Appreciate the service you do to our county. I just wanted to speak a minute in terms of the refugee resettlement. As one who's been a resident of Spartanburg almost 6 years, we found it to be, my family and I originally from the state of Georgia, a welcoming community and county. Spartanburg is second most, the highest county for foreign population in the state, as well as the first in actually foreign-owned businesses in the state of South Carolina. And we're excited about the potential for the refugee resettlement. Studies have been showing how this is a positive impact to the community. Cleveland did a study that covered 12 years of refugee resettlement, over 4,500 refugees that were resettled there, where it showed that after 2 years, only 8% of those refugees were still in government services of any kind. And part of that is because you have refugees fleeing from some of those horrendous suffering that we're fortunate in this country we've hardly ever had to experience, except for maybe one day, that fateful day on 9/11. And so this program is one that has been honored and has been implemented for years by our presidents and through the U.S. State Department through our states. And so traditionally this hadn't been a county council issue, just like you don't deal with any other immigration issues if a person is seeking immigration. And so I want to be happy to share the facts and how this program started. And we actually have no Iraqi or Syrians in process to be resettled as refugees in this program. And I think one thing that there's a lot of confusion about is the State Department approved Spartanburg County to have a refugee resettlement affiliate office. It doesn't mean all the refugees will be here. There actually is a 100-mile radius that they can be resettled in, and that's why traditionally Spartanburg has resettled refugees that have actually from Lutheran Services in Colombia, as we've resettled Laotian, Cambodian, as well as Ukrainian refugees over the years, and that came out of that Colombia office. And as many of you may know, some of those refugees have been resettled. We have a long history of that in our county. We have 9 Ukrainian churches that are evidence of those resettlement efforts. And then there's a number of businessmen. You can go right up the street to Kapasi Glass. Hassan Kapasi was a refugee that came here and built a life for his family and provided jobs and positive economic impact for this city and for this county. And I could share more stories. I know the time is short, but we'll be open to any dialogue with the county councilman to tell you more about it. But at the end of the day, this tradition has been a federal program that happened through the state, which is why our governor endorsed it on April 21st publicly, and then with a letter of support from the state DSS office last July. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And next we have Jim Goodrow, 394 Old South Road.
I moved here 15 years ago as Director of Missions with Spartanburg County Baptist Network, an association of now 100 churches. I wanted to just overview the timeline of the movement that has resulted in refugees scheduled to come here. In 2009, I began working with the Spartanburg Convention and Visitors Bureau to bring to Spartanburg the National Ethnic Ministry Summit. This event has been an annual event since 2000, sponsored by the Billy Graham Center, which has always operated out of Ethnic American Network and Billy Graham Center at Whittier College. We were able to bring in 2012 to Spartanburg the Ethnic Ministry Summit, which took place at Evangel Cathedral. To this date, we're the only non-mega city ever to host that event. We had 70 seminars at that event. About a year later, one of the seminar speakers, Matthew Sorens from World Relief, came, and I facilitated and pastors and Christian leaders immigration awareness briefing and luncheon at First Baptist North Spartanburg. Had about 70 persons to attend that event. In the introduction, he shared that World Relief is a corporation of the National Association of Evangelicals, best known for relief ministry around the world. But in the U.S., it mobilizes the American Church's mission to immigrants and refugees through 23 offices around the U.S., but none in South Carolina. At the lunch break and after the meeting, he was swamped by people there who said, "You ought to be in South Carolina, it should be in Spartanburg." So as the one who facilitated that meeting, I sort of became the spokesman for the effort that has since resulted in refugees coming here. It had to be approved by our state government, also had to be recommended by World Relief. Those two agencies did a demographic study of the Spartanburg area, submitted the proposal to the U.S. State Department, which was approved. In August of last year, I facilitated a meeting that was primarily for partner churches. 4 World Relief executives were here for 2 days visiting the city. I facilitated a meeting of prospective partner churches. 54 persons came to that event. The Convention and Visitors Bureau was represented at that meeting. Congressman Trey Gowdy's office was represented at that meeting. This had almost 70 people attending the first training session for good neighbor teams from churches that will help resettle the refugees here. And so this is an effort of church people wanting to extend the love and compassion of Jesus Christ. Half the people in the refugee system worldwide are persecuted Christians who've had to flee their country. The other half are not Christians. They may never have heard about Jesus. So this is a movement of local churches wanting to minister the love and compassion of Jesus Christ, taking individual responsibility to help process and assimilate each family who comes. Thank you.
Thank you. So Lex Newman here tonight. I don't know if Lex was playing about it. Now, normally council does not speak during public comment period, but I'm going to state the county's position at this time. In recent months, well-meaning members of this community on both sides of the refugee issue have voiced strong positions. As a body, County Council is always concerned when its citizens are polarized, but this is a very complex legal and regulatory matter with no County Council involvement, regardless of what is in the Senate proviso, which is wrong and should be stricken immediately. Congressman Trey Gowdy has taken the lead in gathering information about this project. Because Congressman Gowdy has been spearheading the information gathering effort, the County Council is waiting for his office to render his findings on this matter. As a community and as a council, it would be premature and potentially damaging to our community, as well as to potentially defamatory and slanderous to those involved, to rush to judgment before all of Congressman Gowdy's inquiry is complete. So I urge patience and restraint until a time when more information is available. That's the county's position. Thank you. That closes public comment period. Now we'll go to old business. Item 8, render second reading to an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 2 of the Spartanburg County Code of Ordinances relative to Spartanburg County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission to provide for a change in the name of the commission, which better encompasses all elements of services and treatment provided to the residents of Spartanburg County.
So moved.
Have a motion. Second. Second, James. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, a vote affirmative, and it passes. Item B, render second reading to an ordinance to develop a joint county industrial park in conjunction with Cherokee County, South Carolina, to be geographically located in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and established pursuant to the South Carolina Code of Laws, 1976, a park with Cherokee County in agreement with the city of Spartanburg and for matters related thereto.
Mr. Chairman, I move to postpone the second reading to the next regular or special council.
I have a motion to postpone.
I'll second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, vote affirmative, and it passes. Item C, render second reading to the budget ordinance related to the fiscal affairs of Spartanburg County, making appropriations therefore, levying taxes for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2015, and ending June 30, 2016, to provide for budget control of said appropriation by County Council.
Move we approve.
Have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to express my thanks to staff for all the assistance that they have given me. I still am trying to work my way through this notebook of budget items, and I find it a little overwhelming to this old country boy that's getting age on him, so he doesn't remember as much as he used to. But I do have a couple of things I want to clarify, Ms. O'Neill, if I can, and I guess you want me to address them to you, right? Would that be the best thing to do?
Certainly.
Share with me, we've talked a lot in the last year about the local government fund. This budget, from what I understand, does not include any increases over what we had last year.
That's correct, Councilman Waller. It's our understanding that there is no allocation of additional resources in the current version of the budget in the Senate or the House.
All right, essentially, and I don't ask for exact numbers, but if we calculate it the way we've been calculating, we're short.
About $4 million a year.
All right, and if I remember correctly, and all the information you gave us, that we're about $5 million short of what we really needed. You had to take the request and pull it down to 89 million, but from 95 or so, right?
We're probably closer to the 5.7, 6 million.
Right.
In that neighborhood, yes.
So, but we could take care of the needs that we have in Spartanburg County significantly if we had our local government.
Yes, sir. We were very close to a balanced budget with the revenues had the local government fund been fully funded.
Right.
It would not have been exactly, it would have been closer.
Now, share with me, if you would, here again, I'm trying to learn the line items the way we've got them. I'm using your general overview instead of trying to go to each individual page. I'm looking on the expenditures for a magistrate court and it shows 2.8, a little over $2.8 million. Where do we get the revenues to cover that expenditure?
Sure, well, Councilman Walker, the total expenditures are not covered by revenues. So the magistrate court does collect fines and other fees that come in through the court system. A large percentage of that, half or more, is turned over to the state as part of the county's responsibility to provide what they see as their portion of those revenues. So what remains has the county anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million short of what the actual expenses are to run the department.
So basically, we're asked to fund this court. The monies that we get from fines and so forth, half of it state won't take it, which won't give us our local government funds. So we're giving them money instead of us giving money what we should be getting.
Sure, I would imagine that in a number of cases the state tries to assign the appropriate fines to make the court whole, but in this case we're sharing those fines with the state. The council has never taken, that I'm aware of, never taken the position that a court has to be a balanced budget where they are required to bring in enough revenue to cover their costs. The idea behind the local government fund was for the state to provide the funds to pay for their expenses, and in this case it would be court operations. And
I don't want to ask you a question that we may not have fully information on, but do you have a feel for throughout the state how many of the courts are pretty well generating enough income from the fines to pay for their cost, or do we know that?
Sure, I can't speak to all other 45 counties, but I do work closely with the county administrators in the larger counties. Of course, I came from a county that's considered to be one of the larger ones myself. While I was in Lexington County, I can share with you that the court system does not generate enough money to pay for their expenses with just the revenues that remain with the county. Same to our situation. In talking with the county administrators over the last year, I'm not aware of any county where the court revenue that remains with the county covers the expenses. All of the counties are short of local government funds, largely in court operations.
All right. In the
Bob, I hate to interrupt you, but I mean, this stuff really should be dealt with the administrator. You got a lot of people who can talk about, some issues they can't sit for. We've been through this. I mean, I've spent my time a couple hours with Catherine. Again, with respect to people out here waiting to hear about 2 or 3 key issues for them.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Walker.
Are we not entitled to?
Sure you are, Mr. Walker.
So just because one councilman doesn't like run?
Well, I don't mind what you're saying. I'm just trying to 644. People have been waiting for a long time.
So which is more important, time or this budget?
Well, for me, people out in the audience, I trust that I've got sufficient knowledge. I don't need to hear all your questions about the budget. I mean, I think that's something, if you want to meet with the staff, do it. But don't take up the people in the audience time. That's my point. It's like when I get on a plane and fly Delta, I don't ask the pilot to tell me how this thing's going to work. Just get me there. If I want to sit down with him, I can talk to him a little later when I'm not holding up 200 people.
All right, Mr. Walker, any additional questions for the Secretary?
Yes, sir. Ms. O'Neill, I want to ask you, trying to determine this happened, this is covered prior to me coming here, is the insurance fund. I look under expenditures and I see a line item, and I also see a line item over under revenues for insurance fund. Are we, I guess the insurance fund itself is covered out of the general fund, and then we pay for it, but we put it into an insurance fund?
Sure. I believe that you're talking about the health insurance fund. Is that
right? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
So all of the departments have employees And if those employees are, well, I would say that almost all of our departments and funds have employees, and almost all of them have employees who are eligible for health insurance. So each one of those, be it the general fund or any of the other funds that make up $177 million of the entire budget, they each contribute a set amount to our insurance fund. And then from that fund, we pay for a variety of expenses, as you see there. The largest one, of course, is our contribution to the Public Employee Benefits Association, the State Health Insurance Fund.
All right. In that fund, based on our funding process, and this year, I can say that there is no part-time employees in funding out of these accounts.
So the insurance, the eligibility for health insurance in Spartanburg County is if an employee is scheduled to regularly work 30 hours or more per week. So technically, someone would be considered part-time if they're not working full schedule. But the eligibility threshold for health insurance is 30 hours, scheduled to work 30 hours per week.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Mr. Walker. Other questions, comments?
We don't see.
Yeah. Another item C, Beverly.
Yes, sir, that's right.
We have a motion. Second. We have who's motion to second?
I'll second.
Okay, good. All right. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? I vote affirmative and it passes. Thank you. Item D, render second reading to a budget ordinance to establish capital project budgets for 2015-26 budget year for a 5-year capital improvement plan.
Whether we approve second reading.
Have a motion. Second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, risk of getting yelled at by Mr. Brett.
What do you mean we're going to yell at?
David, do we have minutes from our special meeting on May the 4th or whatever?
Yes, sir, they were inflated in your packet.
I did not get that either.
Stand in front of you.
Can I look at those real quick?
Can I ask a question while we're doing that?
Sure. Y'all know I got to go speak somewhere later.
I know.
We're trying to help you out.
Go ahead, Bob.
It's always good to be late for those.
Does this, and maybe that's what Roger's looking at, what is the amount in this, did we not vote to make a change in the amount that was in the original ordinance for the capital projects to this, what we'll have tonight? Did we not vote to move it from $3 to $5?
Oh, that's the list.
I believe that the question that you're asking has to do with the fee revenue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so at your budget workshop, you had talked about the adjustment of the fee for our household user fee. And yes, that was incorporated.
I thought we voted, the vote was to raise it to $5.
And that was incorporated into the information that you've received for second reading.
Yeah, we just had a second.
We amended it and added it in, and so it's in the second
It's
reading.
in the second reading?
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, a vote affirmative, and it passes. Item 8. Consider application for a special public event exclusion from the noise ordinance requested by Greer Dragway from 4 p.m. until midnight on Saturday, June 13, 2015, and Saturday, June 27, 2015 for a drag race at 1792 Dragway Road, Greer.
Whether we approve.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, I vote affirmative, and it passes. Item B, consider an application for a special public event exclusion from the noise ordinance requested by Bowling Springs Ale House from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. on Thursday, June 11, 2015, and from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. on Saturday, June 20, 2015 for live music outside of 2220 Bowling Springs Road, Bowling Springs.
One more, Mr. Chairman. Do we have to vote on these together, or can we vote on them separately?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about tonight. there's times, I don't know, what do you say, Catherine, all yours?
You moved to divide the question, can't you?
We can't do them separate. It would just be a motion, and whatever, however, take it back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, we do have a motion. Do we have a motion? We do? Do we, somebody made a motion?
No,
No one made a motion?
I moved.
No one made a motion.
I moved.
Bob made a motion to proceed?
Proceed.
Okay. Don't make some curves tonight. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We got a second. We're pulling teeth up here. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Wait a minute, back up. All in favor, raise your right hand. Well, I'll vote last, I'm sorry. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? I'm not in favor. You fail? I didn't see. You fail, Debbie? Thank you. Good to see you, Mom. Item 9, reading and approval of resolutions, ordinances, agreements, petitions, and other documents and other industrial facilities through issuance of Spartanburg County industrial development and similar lines and legal agreements. Any other, how about the bar, BAR resolutions?
Yes, sir. There are a number of budget amendment resolutions before you. It's a relatively short list, but I'm glad to answer any questions about them. At least one of them came from the communities this afternoon.
All righty. Need a motion on the BAR?
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, or affirmative, it passes.
Miscellaneous council matters, I've got one item.
Oh, yeah, 10. Miscellaneous council matters and budget amendments.
Okay, good. This is referring to Mrs. Brown's presentation on the problem of shooting in densely populated areas. This isn't the first time a council member, even me, have heard this complaint. I've had issues now in Pine Acres, which is right off Fernwood Glendale Road, 4 Mile Branch Road in my council district, and now Pierce Acres. And this is really, in the last year, it's got to be a bigger and bigger problem. Out of the 6 council districts, 4 council districts have had problems as well. Up in the Lyman area, there was a house that was shot into by some people out just target shooting and playing around. They weren't being safe. Fortunately, no one was killed. Rogers area has had issues. James area has had issues. We have wrestled with this thing. I know I've wrestled with it along with the chairman. Jeff has been a great help trying to come to some type of resolution and solution to it. Our staff, we've had meetings with our administrator, our lawyers. We've met with the sheriff, people from the sheriff's department. We even asked a person who was formerly with the NRA, who lives in Spartanburg County, to take a look at the situation. And she was appalled at what was going on in a couple of subdivisions. I talked with Kibby Krill. There's Kibby right there last week about it. And Kibby, I think, had a great idea. We've tried to come to grips whether it's distance or whatever. And like Ms. Brown, you said, it's a very small number of people that do dumb things, but it only takes one to kill a child. Unfortunately, you saw a 12-year-old die at your footstep, or at your feet, or an adult, or someone gets seriously wounded. You can't put those people back together again. We're not talking about infringing on gun ownership, anything like that, just responsible gun use. And Kibby's idea, I thought, was fantastic, to form a citizens advisory committee made up of a small number of people, maybe representing the 6 council districts, get 6 citizens, and then get some ad hoc members. I've talked with Representative Eddie Town. Eddie said he would serve as an ad hoc member. I think Representative Rita Allison will. We can ask Senator Shane Martin, because Shane's had some contacts. I think I know you all may have contacted Shane. Others have on other occasions. But to form some type of citizens advisory committee with some ad hoc members, and even have a couple council members on it. So that's what I'd like to ask the chairman if he would do to take this under consideration, form a committee, And I'd love to have Kibby involved in. He served on a committee that we did similarly with the sheriff and
Bill Chumley.
Doing some education at the jail.
Bill Chumley.
Yep, Drug Summit, and I think that thing turned out great. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask if you would take it under consideration, see if you can form a citizen advisory committee to work on this, and report back to council on some moves and some recommendations for some type of ordinance or resolution, and also have someone from the Sheriff's Department involved, and possibly even the solicitor's office.
All right. Anything else on the miscellaneous? Item 11, approval of minutes, April 20, 2015, May 4, 2015.
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, vote affirmative, passes. Thank you for your attendance tonight. Be careful going home. Any motion to adjourn? So moved. Second. Get out of the